not even a year old, and this video is already outdated. After nearly 9 months off screen, Doctor Who is back with another New Year special with Revolution of the Daleks, written by Chris Chibnall and directed by Lee Haven-Jones. After such a hard year in 2020 and the way Series 12 ended, I was pretty excited for this special. The marketing for this episode was also really good, perfectly setting up the hype and making this episode look like a blockbuster that we all need to kick off the new year. Did this story succeed? In a lot of ways, yes, but in some areas it did fumble. But let's take a look at the story. After the events of Resolution, the damaged reconnaissance Dalek parts are used to become a defence drone created by Jack Robertson in the hope of suppressing public riots and enforcing control. Robertson even gives British politicians Joe Patterson drones to use in her constituency. Meanwhile, Yaz, Ryan and Graham are trying to find the whereabouts of the Doctor as they discover Robertson's plan about the drones. As Patterson becomes Prime Minister and uses the drones across the UK, scientist Leo Rugazi discovers organic cells in the Dalek casing and clones it into a living creature. The mutant escapes, however, and takes control of Leo's body and takes him to Japan, where Dalek clones are being grown in a facility. The Doctor, meanwhile, is trapped on a distant asteroid, but is broken out by Jack Harkness and they travel to Earth. The fam confront Robertson and meet in Japan, where the Daleks reveal its plans to take over the Earth and use the new mutants for the drones. It is up to the Doctor and them to stop the Dalek revolution and save the Earth. On paper, and judging by the trailers, this story does have a bit of repeat going on. Daleks, Robertson, Captain Jack returning, the Daleks being used as servants, a full-scale Dalek civil war, unlimited rice pudding, etc, etc. However, Revolution of the Daleks has great pacing and a brilliant sense of fun to it that I found myself enjoying a lot of it as an action story. Jodie Whittaker was on top form once again. I really enjoyed her scenes in the prison, counting how long she's been here, talking to aliens she's encountered in the past, including the mighty Puting. However, my main problem with these prison scenes is that it almost feels superficial to the story. Only 15 minutes in and Jack already frees her, and she's back defending the Earth again. It was such a big cliffhanger at the end of Series 12, but it felt fairly irrelevant to the rest of the story. Not to mention, the trailers seemed to imply that she'd been in that prison for a long time, and that Yaz, Ryan and Graham had to learn to defend the Earth on their own, but that never really happens and it just feels underdeveloped. However, once she was out of prison, the Doctor still had some great moments, like her scenes with Jack. She was in prison for being herself after learning in the Timeless Children that she wasn't herself. I like how the Doctor was thrown off guard by her companion's attitude to being gone. For 10 months, she expected them all to celebrate, but they weren't exactly happy to see her. And I have to admit as well, when the Doctor called the Death Squad Daleks, it seemed too great a risk to call them in my opinion, as I felt this would just cause more problems than resolve them. However, once the Daleks discovered the Doctor, of course they would put their efforts on killing the Doctor before conquering the Earth and slaying innocents, because of course the Doctor would stop them. I loved how she defeated the Daleks by luring them into the classic series TARDIS and sending them back to the Void, but I really wanted that interior to last a lot longer. Such a shame Chibnall destroyed it. It was great how smug and cocky she was towards them, stupid Daleks falling for the old switcheroo. Her goodbye to Graham and Ryan was really well acted by Jodie. She accepts that Ryan wants to leave and that it was partly her fault for missing out on her companions for 10 months. I even liked how the Doctor almost didn't want to feel sad, and even wanted to use the TARDIS to rewrite the 10 months error, but Yaz tells her it's okay to be sad. Maybe this will lead to an arc for the Doctor in Series 13, opening up more about her past. In Series 11, the companions knew nothing about her, and she didn't really elaborate on her past. Series 12, they wanted to help her open up, but the Doctor was still pretty resistant. Maybe with Yaz on board and a new companion, the Doctor won't keep any more secrets from her TARDIS team. Who knows, eh? The group hug the fam all gave each other was a great send-off, but no social distancing in 2021? That's a fail right there. Regardless, it was a great send-off for Ryan and Graham, and I honestly can't wait to see what happens next for the Doctor. I did like how the Timeless Child revelation was mentioned and it wasn't ignored. I only hope it carries on for Series 13 because I'm still excited to see how this pans out. And the references also didn't seem to come out of nowhere. They felt beneficial to the story because of the companions and the impact it's had on the Doctor. But let's talk about our companions. They were pretty well served in this episode for the most part, but they definitely had problems. As for Ryan, I definitely have to point to his scene with the Doctor in the TARDIS as being my favourite. I like how they start off being awkward with each other and asking how they've been. This scene is very much a series of opposites. Ryan connected with family and saw his dad again, who mentioned he is getting his life together and is back at work. He saw his friends again, which we saw in Series 12, so it's nice that they were introduced first and we were able to get an idea of what Ryan's social life is like, and he even settled back into modern day Earth pretty well. Compare that to the Doctor, who, last episode, her home was destroyed and her entire past was shaken up. She wasn't able to make amends with it. I like how the Doctor does try and ignore what she's discovered and shake it off, but Ryan isn't having it. He managed to reconnect with his home and wants the Doctor to feel the same, and is also sick of being shut out. Ryan argues that she is still the Doctor to him, and yes, things have changed with the revelation of the Timeless Children, but she's still the woman who landed in their lives and took them on fantastic adventures with, and isn't that the most important thing that matters? New can be scary, but we can confront it because hopefully everything will be alright. This scene was fantastic, and I'm glad Ryan got a scene like this before he left, and his departure doesn't feel completely out of nowhere at the end. I can't really say the same for Graham, unfortunately, as I felt like in this episode he did get the short straw and didn't have much to do compared to the other companions. However, I can forgive this a little more, as Graham has been my favourite companion out of all of them, and he does have the most connection to Ryan, so him leaving as well does fit. Graham doesn't want to miss anything with Ryan and wants to be with him. And now, yes, the TARDIS is a time machine, and the Doctor, Graham and Yaz could fly halfway around planets and time and be back the second they left. But as the Doctor was gone for 10 months and didn't realise Graham doesn't want to take that risk, you can see why he would stay. And when it came to their departures, it was really well done, I think. Now, going into this episode, I did expect both of them to die for a few reasons. Mainly because the last time Chris Chibnall wrote out characters in the Doctor Who universe, he gave us exit wounds from Torchwood, and Owen and Tosh's departure is so dark and so impactful that I was almost expecting the same here, but I have to remember this is a family show, not an adult show. The other reason is, ask yourself this: when was the last time a companion left the series willingly? Now obviously I can't hear you, but I'll answer for you. It was Martha Jones in Series 3. Yep, nearly 14 years ago. Since then, every companion has left unwillingly. Donna had her memory wiped, Amy and Rory were sent to the past, Clara had to face the Raven, Danny Pink and Bill Potts were converted into Cybermen, and Nardole had to take refugees to safety, not knowing when he'd ever see the Doctor again. Honestly, it was so refreshing to see these two get on with their lives, but having been changed by their travels with the Doctor, they became closer as grandfather and grandson, and will even defend the Earth together. The bike scene at the end felt like everything had come full circle. Ryan is still struggling, but he won't give up. New things can be scary, but he will face them now because of everything he's seen out there. And seeing Grace at the end. Oh damn it, why is there never enough tissues? Yaz in this episode I did like a lot. I think after the events of Can You Hear Me, I feel she is gaining her confidence a lot more, and I'm starting to see the point of her arc, particularly in the Series 12 finale where she did take more leadership. And we get the same thing here. I like how she wanted to find the Doctor and not give up, even turning it into an obsession. Compared to Graham and Ryan, who gave up on the Doctor coming back, Yaz hasn't, because she still wants to travel and be with her. Her scenes with Jack are great. Yaz was only thinking about herself and didn't even cross her mind that the Doctor was taken prisoner against her will and would have done anything to get back to them. Yaz even says she even felt like never knowing her because the Doctor changed her life so much, almost as if all the wonderful things she has seen with her prior meant nothing because the Doctor hasn't come back. For me, it made perfect sense for Yaz to stay because she still wanted to travel and have all the joys of travelling through time and space, even if it is worth the pain in the end. Keeping her on for Series 13, I am pretty positive towards this. Maybe this will give her even more time to develop and make her eventual departure even more impactful. As for Jack, yeah, it was great seeing him again. He can relate to the companions feeling left behind, as he is immortal and was left waiting for the Doctor for hundreds of years. The joy can be worth the pain in the end. He got to be the dashing hero that we all know and love, and it's great that he could interact with the Doctor, as opposed to Fugitive of the Judoon, where Chibnall just got me excited and just teased me before finishing me off. I'll allow you to take that how you will. There were references to his immortality, but I like how he was never killed over and over for a get-out-of-jail-free card. And one thing I am surprised about Jack is that he didn't even get a goodbye scene. Seriously, the Daleks are defeated, but then we cut to him on the phone saying goodbye, and we even get a Gwen Cooper reference. Maybe we'll get a Torchwood 5. No, we won't. Something tells me we haven't seen the last of Jack in this era, but it's a shame there wasn't a goodbye in person. The supporting cast for me were kind of broadly sketched and felt more like plot devices than actual characters, but there were some good bits here and there. For example, Robertson seemed to change his allegiance based on when the plot needed him to. Chris Noth I think gave a great performance, and yeah, it was a surprise to see him back, but I think Chibnall likes this character more than the audience does. I have seen a few people criticise this episode by letting him get away scot-free, but it's honestly depressingly accurate how real-life politicians can get away with murder. Harriet Walter was great as Jo Patterson as well, but I think suffers the same problem as being way too broad and sketchily developed. We could have seen more of the drones having an impact in Britain, maybe before the Doctor came back. Maybe they've been around for months and humanity has got used to them. For example, Chibnall pulled off this similar plot device in The Power of Three with all the cubes, and it's a shame he didn't explore it more here. But I do like how she was calmly brushing off the drones losing control, even when it was so obvious of them killing people, cause living in the nightmare that is the Tories and COVID-19, that felt very relevant, even though I know Chibnall wrote this before the pandemic even broke out. I know some people are going to moan about how Doctor Who never touched politics before Chris Chibnall took over and she's clearly a parallel for Theresa May, but maybe go watch The Happiness Patrol. Nathan Stewart Jarrett as Leo was really good, and it's almost as if he wanted the best of intentions for the drones, but it got him killed because he tried to resurrect a fascist race. Nathan has been in shows like Misfits and even popped up in Stephen Moffat's Dracula last year, so it's great that this talented actor is still getting work. The Daleks were really well served here. The drone design looked fantastic in its silver and black livery, and one detail I liked is that their voices were different from the bronze ones, further emphatising that they aren't pure Daleks. I loved how when these drones came to life they just killed anything that got in their way. It's pure Dalek. It was great seeing the bronze Daleks fight these. I only wish we had more battles with them maybe across the Earth. We got more fight scenes in Remembrance of the Daleks, and that was made 30 years ago. Here it only seemed limited to a bridge fight. The mutants feeding on liquidized humans was a really gruesome idea, and I loved hearing the mutant sound effects from Genesis of the Daleks and the City of Skaro from the first story. Someone clearly cares about continuity here. I like how the episode highlighted on impurity within the Daleks, and it's important to remember these are creatures inside, and I think Chibnall does realise that. I honestly think he's handled the Daleks, Cybermen and the Master, Doctor Who's three major enemies, really well. I even expected Davros to turn up when Robertson said, "Take me to your leader," but it was just another bronze Dalek. Damn it, Chibnall, stop teasing the audience. I liked how the drones became a brand of sorts and even had a Dalek production line, evocative of Power of the Daleks and Remembrance of the Daleks. Chris Chibnall has taken two of my favourite Dalek stories and combined the two together, and I think he achieved that very well. Production-wise, this was a fantastic looking episode, with gorgeous lighting, colour, cinematography and action sequences. This episode had a blockbuster feel to it, and it achieved that with flying colours. To summarise, Revolution of the Daleks is sloppy in places, but it gets the job done with great action, great performances, social commentary and plenty of references to the past. Whilst moving ahead for the future, the groundwork has been set well for Series 13, and I can't wait to see where the Good Doctor takes us next. I will see you all next time. Wait, hello, what's this?
Your lucky number's 13.
Oh. Lucky number is 13. This is going to be fun.